Hey there, and welcome to A Well-Rounded Life, the podcast, a space for creative entrepreneurs seeking an intentional life and biz filled with grace, passion, and purpose. I'm your host, Geomyra. I'm a mama, wife, dessert fanatic, and on the ultimate mission to get you closer to your idea of what it means to live a well-rounded life. Right here is where you'll find curated resources, quick tips, and relatable stories, no matter what season of life you're in. So hang out with me for a bit and let's dive in. Hey, welcome to A Well-Rounded Life. It's your hostess, Geomyra, and I hope your week is off to a great start. We are all back into the swing of things with school, with most of us rocking it out at home virtually with our little ones. I want to take this time to remind you to grant yourself some grace on this journey. We are living in uncharted territory, and we have to remind ourselves that we are doing the best we can with what we've got. I just felt like I needed to remind someone and myself of that fact before I do anything else. I know you're really busy, and believe me, I don't take your time for granted. I'm so glad you've carved out some time to hang with me today, and I know you're going to enjoy today's episode. I'm looking forward to welcoming my friend and someone I look up to on today's show. Our guest, Myrna Daramy, is a household name to those of us in the wedding and event space. She is the queen of all things SEO, or DMO, as she's coined the phrase. But the interesting thing about today's interview is that we aren't just chatting about business stats and Google Analytics. Nope. Myrna and I are having an open conversation about pivoting and being intentional so that you may serve your family and clients well simultaneously. She shares her experiences and great tips that we can all implement in this season. If you're tuned in and hanging with Myrna and I today, you know what to do. Take a screenshot and tag at Coach4Creative so we can say hi. Sound good? I want to read Myrna's official bio as we ease into our chat. So here we go. Myrna Daramy is a tech-savvy digital media optimization specialist, oftentimes referred to as the tech whisperer by her clients. Over the last 15 years, she's educated over 500,000 professionals and transformed countless small business brands by combining her expertise in digital analytics, technology management, and SEO with a deep understanding of all things creative. Myrna's superpower is that she can easily translate tech talk into concepts that make sense to even the most non-technical of small business owners. She takes pride in helping her clients peel back the layers of their brand, utilize the latest and greatest technology tools, and return to them an optimized digital footprint that converts better than ever before. I told you she is a force to be reckoned with. Let's welcome Myrna to the show. Myrna, hello, my friend. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, honey. How are you? I am well. I'm as good as can be expected. Let's start off with that. Let me keep it real.
No, it's crazy, but we're navigating the new territory, especially with kids getting ready to go back to school, right?
Yeah, it's a reality. I'm finally, I think, there. I've been in denial for the past few weeks, but I'm like, they're going. It's happening. It's all good.
It's happening. So Myrna, do me a favor and introduce yourself to our well-rounders.
Well, hi, well-rounders. My name is Myrna. I am the founder of Myrna and Co., which is a tech translation for the modern business coaching firm. Basically, what that means is I help creative entrepreneurs, women business owners, and small businesses overcome the overwhelm of tech by just feeling empowered. So I do things from educating to coaching to even some consulting as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
And she's amazing, by the way. She knows her stuff and is the real deal. And she is everyone's go-to for all things SEO, tech, and beyond. So, and that's how we met, because she was a speaker at a conference that I attended and has been a speaker at multiple conferences that I have attended. So if you were, again, because she knows her stuff. So make sure you guys are following her and checking her out, because she definitely has such great tips and insights and whatnot. All right, Myrna. So as we all know, at the time of this taping, COVID has turned our world upside down. And my question for you, first
Yes,
question
it
is,
has.
yes, right? What do and what does your life and business look like for you currently?
Got it. So I will say, being in the technology space, where I often call it tech neutral, because it wasn't really as challenging to transition or pivot or adjust to what my current working environment looks like now, being because I was already doing many virtual meetings. I was using Zoom for the past 2 years prior to all this. So I was already on the game of meeting people virtually. I stopped traveling as much because I was doing so much speaking engagements. I couldn't necessarily travel to my clients as much. So it just worked out that I was already positioned to take on this virtual space and
Mhm.
meeting and communicating with people this way. So that didn't really change. I mean, I think the biggest change was having everybody home and having to navigate that space, because I realized very quickly that it was not the same situation. Like, I could not just lock myself in my room and think everything was going to be good.
Mhm.
So that has been the biggest shift. And I think now, I mean, more than ever, my kids were somewhat familiar when mommy would say, I'm in a meeting, because there were times when they were home and I'd be in meetings. But now it's like, I don't have to say a word. I just got to be like, close my door. They see the signal. It's like a bat signal. They know that mommy's having a call, and so don't disturb. And so it's just been a little bit more streamlined, I guess, to say, if
Yes.
anything.
I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate because same thing when both the doors close in my office, they see this podcast mic, they see a desktop and a laptop because they can see me working. They're like, let me be quiet. But otherwise, they'll be flipping in the floor, blasting some type of device, computer, iPad or something.
Yes, arguing,
Oh
all the
my God,
things.
all of that. But they're definitely learning. And just like you, I was already using Zoom for my clients. My business has always been virtual. And so it's hasn't been new there, but the biggest thing is the family aspect. Where your family, it's bring your family to work day every day.
Every day, every moment of the day.
So
Yes.
that's the issue. And so with the limited amount of time that we all have trying to manage all the things, what advice do you have for someone that needs to be intentional since time is very limited?
So I think the biggest advice, the biggest thing that I've learned through all this is, the hat that I used to wear and wear proudly was multitasker. I needed to realize that it's not going to work in this day and age. It's not going to work in this environment. I
Mhm.
literally had to say, from this time, I am going to be doing X, and I'm only going to be doing X, and then switching from there. So
Mhm.
that was the only thing I think I had to be more cognizant of, and also just put forth in the forefront, because in the beginning, like I said, I was trying to do all the things because it's natural. I'm the multitasker. I got this. I can handle it. And I realized moving forward that it wasn't going to work. So my biggest advice is to literally almost compartmentalize some more, in that if you're going to be spending family time, spend that family time. If you're going to be doing work, like, definitely segment that time out and focus on doing it. And then when you get better at it, then you can even segment even more to be like, okay, well, this hour I'm just going to focus on emailing, or this hour I'm just going to focus on this. Because then I think it helps in getting things done and being more
Mhm.
productive. So that's my
Yeah.
biggest aha takeaway. Because again, I was trying to be that person at the circus, with the dishes, where they're spinning it on the one end and then they got to go to the next one and spin and spin and
Yeah.
spin. I was trying to do all that. That lasted about 48 hours. And I was like, no, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. Everyone I'm sure can relate to that. But what you're describing to me is what hashtag living well rounded means, where one thing I always tell people is you focus on what needs your attention in that moment, and instead of trying to be everything to everybody, your clients, your family, yourself, your friends, whatever, who needs you, what needs you in the moment. And then in the next hour it may change or shift, but it's something about being intentional with your energy and your time that a lot of us struggle with, because we are trying to serve two masters, as they say, in trying to do way more when it's just watered down. So I
Yeah,
think we gotta be intentional, just like you
gotta be
mentioned.
intentional. I mean,
Hmm.
the analogy that I use in my world a lot is like a computer only has so much space, right? So if you think about it and you have all of these applications open, it's the one thing I always tell people when I go to somebody's desktop or their computer and I see they have like 200 apps open and like 500 windows. I'm like, think about what's happening there in the time. And then you're clicking because things aren't happening fast enough. It's because it's trying to think and it's trying to get through all the things. So if you were to just close some of that,
Yeah, you talking to
then
me
it would
now.
work so much more. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
raise your hand if you have more than 6 tabs open on your desktop right now. Me and your browser.
Yes. And I'm raising my hand sometimes as well too, because I'm guilty of it as well. So I get it.
Yeah, be Amazon, Instagram, uh, Desk, Honeybook. It'd be everything,
Yes.
all in one.
All of it.
And
Hmm.
you, and you mentioned earlier about how you would go fly to your clients and speaking engagements and all of that. And you work with a lot of heavy hitters in and around the wedding industry. So what's your plan? And again, some advice do you have for folks that need to maintain their businesses and still be present with their kids and family and priorities? Because we still got to eat, right?
So gotta eat. So, I mean, the magical word I feel like, or the big buzzword of COVID-19 has been this word of pivot. It's almost like what I feel like is in order to continue the authenticity, continue showing up in your business, you just need to think through how to be creative in utilizing technology in order to communicate, connect, and also if you're in a world where you need to establish or maintain some kind of community with your prospective customers or your customers, doing it through a means of virtual. So for everybody it's different. Some people leaned in more on their social media, some people leaned in on things like this, like Zoom, or some people just leaned in on more audio. So whatever it is that you are utilizing to connect, communicate, and establish your community, I would say definitely hone in on seeing even more creatively how you can further leverage that, because
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are still trying to navigate those waters and figure out if it could be part of their new paradigm, which I'm hoping and I feel like it has definitely shifted enough where people are embracing it and utilizing it more. Because at the end of the day, it's all about productivity. And I think people were questioning how productive they could be this way, but I think it's been tested now and people have had to just make it work and seeing that it has worked, that there are different ways you can approach things and definitely still be even as productive or if not more than you were before. So
I agree. I definitely agree. And I don't know how many times I've heard the word pivot, but it's a reason why we keep hearing people say pivot and shift, is because sometimes we have to do that in order to survive. Sometimes the space that we were in is stale and it's the sign we need to do something else or to add another service, or instead of meeting people face to face. You can save gas, time, and money and meet with them virtually, but pivoting and shifting has definitely been the song and dance of this season. And I work with a lot of clients, and I'm sure you do as well, where we're having to coach them through what it looks like to pivot, what it looks like to create a new offer for their clients. And that's where a lot of my energy and time is being creative on how can you still do what you love and stay within your ministry, but still make money doing it and serving the same audience? Or do we need to look at a different audience? It's definitely
yeah,
a puzzle and strategy. And so I know you're spending a lot of time with your clients on that as well. Yeah. And so speak,
100%. I mean, a lot of my clients were, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go
I'm
ahead.
just thinking a lot of my clients were brick and mortar, meaning
Mm,
that they were physical locations. And so there was a struggle there of how do I still serve and do what I love
hmm.
while I cannot? I mean, they physically were enabled or disabled in order to do that. And so
Yeah.
literally, there was just a lot of ingenuity that had to come out of it, a lot of innovation, a lot of more so honing in on values of the company, services that they provide, and seeing ways that they could still do so. So it was an interesting mix.
It's interesting you do bring up the brick and mortar businesses when I feel like they don't get a lot of love and attention on the social media space as much as a lot of us who do have the virtual and even businesses that we can run in our home. And then like with a wedding planner, photographer, a lot of them run them in their home and then they go out into the field, but they don't actually have a physical store that they still have to pay, the mortgage or lease or whatever. And so those people have to even more so figure out what makes sense. Do I keep this store? Do I take it online? What needs to happen? And so, this is a great time to figure out, like, how do you cut the fat somewhere? Or do you partner with someone else and you share a space? Or what does that look like? Because it's some things I never even thought about it until you just said it, that you have companies that have a bridal salon, and I'm sure you work with many, and it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. I have this inventory of dresses that I'm supposed to sell, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, they felt stuck. I mean, I have clients outside of the bridal space, but I have a client who is a doctor, who's a dermatologist. And, world-renowned, people flocked. I mean, she has multiple offices in multiple locations in the US. And she was like, what do I do? So she ended up having to do virtual consultations and do online services. And she then, of course, was able to create her own product line. I mean, a lot of beauty came out of it. That's but, awesome. It's just one of those things where it's like, wait, I have to totally regroup and rethink this through. So.
No, it's great. And that's actually a great example of someone that she probably always wanted to create a product line. And we put things off, but I've been trying to encourage people that if there's something you wanted to do or launch, do it. Get off of Netflix, get off the couch and do it. Show up there. Right.
Yeah. I'll even say I'm even guilty of this because I have played on the fence of do I not go into digital products. And I finally
talked about this. Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about this and I finally got off of my butt to say, no, I need a digital product. It's time. It's long overdue. This is something that people have asked me for 4 years. And I'm finally just now okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. Yes, there should.
Yeah, we've been begging because again, you guys, she is the tech guru and she is the solution for a lot of us. And so we know whatever it is you decide to put out is going to bless a lot of business owners. And so now you're putting it out into the world that you're going to do it. So yay, we can now support you.
Yay, exactly. Yes.
And so speaking of businesses, people come to you most likely so that you can help them increase visibility. So what suggestions do you have for those that are seeking to be, more authentic in their businesses with, again, everything that we are facing?
Yeah, that's a big question, but it's a good one to ask. It's one of those things. Yes, most people come to me 9 times out of 10 with the need of either learning about search engine optimization, SEO, or feeling like they know they need it, but they don't know where to begin. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I always, especially now in this day and age, promote a more holistic approach to this whole concept of what SEO is, called digital media optimization, aka DMO, which allows for people to know that there's not one way to achieve and increase visibility. You need to actually approach this more from, what you value, what matters to you, and then kind of go from there in terms of where you want to show up. And so what digital media optimization encompasses is not just your website, but it also incorporates anywhere that you are doing something online on the web. So whether that is, a Zoom conference, email, all the social media, all the things, incorporates looking at all of those and looking to see how you can optimize your performance on all of them. Because they all work in tandem in order to help leverage you and build you up. So that in itself, if I were to say, okay, what's my quick tip, quick advice? One thing that COVID taught, aside from being able to pivot or needing to pivot, it is, well, it taught a lot of things. Let me not even say that. COVID done taught me some lessons about all kinds of stuff. But the one quick thing that I feel like it did advise is taking care of home, because home became the hub for everybody to work, eat, sleep, like do all the things and stay in your household and make it so that you can have this multifaceted world that you've created all happen inside your home. So I always tell people to make sure they take care of their digi-home, which is their own website. And if they don't have a website, making sure that they at least have something that represents them on the World Wide Web. Because at the end of the day, everything else that you do, wherever you do it, is most likely going to be leased real estate. And this is the one space that you can literally say, like, just like a homeowner, like, I own this home. And so you have the ability there to have the most freedom. So that's the first thing I would say, is taking care of your digi-home. And what that basically means to me, if I were to think of it, is just like you would if you were to have a house guest come over, you want to make it as hospitable as possible. Hopefully, you don't want to have them run kicking and screaming like, I'm never going to come visit you again. So you want to make sure that it's welcoming. You want to make sure that it's easy. You want to make sure that they feel like that you're welcoming them and you're actually being a proper hostess. You have to do the same things when it comes to your website. So is it easy to navigate? Is it easy for them to know how to connect with you? Is it easy for them to find out information? Is it easy for them to access by their mobile? Because they're most likely going to meet you there. So things like that are the things that I would say is, in a quick advice standpoint, like, start with your home and then go from there.
That is fantastic advice, because you want people to understand what you sell or what you offer as soon as they check out your website. And I love the analogy about the home, where if you own your home, you have control. You have control on your website, newsletter, whatever. But as soon as we are renting space on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, they can erase everything tomorrow, knock on wood. But at least your website, it's yours. And I think we spend a lot of time on social media trying to be seen there. But to your point, if you spend the time and energy getting people to the traffic to your home, your website, that alone can do a lot of the marketing for you, if you actually spend the time and energy, trying to get home in order. So that's great.
Exactly.
And as the queen of SEO, or in your world, DMO, what quick advice, tips, or tools do you suggest for those of us that want to increase the traffic that I just mentioned and visibility in our businesses and on our websites?
Yeah. So I'd say the quick advice I would say, to your point, because you just kind of stated it, it's like being more concise and being a lot more clear as to who you are, what you do, who you do it for, if that, that matters, and where you do it, if that's applicable too. Because some people, if you're a digital business, you have a global presence, so you could have a global presence, but locking in on what that phrase is, who you are, what you do, who you do it for, where you do it, is so important, because that's kind of like the clear entryway of framing all the messaging, all the content, all the things that you're going to be putting out there into the world. So that's my clear advice. And I would say, start with the bare bones of it, because I know everybody has their genius, everybody has the magic that they produce. But at the end of the day, if you can't dumb it down enough to bring it to layman's terms so that someone in plain English can understand what you do, you might be losing people. So if you are a business strategist, you say business strategist. You don't have to, you level it up and educate them on all the amazing specialties that you bring to the table with that. But make sure that you have the clear, concise basic of what you are first, and then you could beef it up.
No, I can't tell you how many websites I've gone on, or even just someone's social, and I'm like, what do they do? And you're trying to sell me something, but I don't know what you do, because you kind of leave that part out. And so I think that's important.
They're so ready to want to share Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They're
it's
so
like,
ready to
oh.
share their genius. And it's like, yes, but at the bare bones of it, like if you are a photographer, please say that you are a photographer, like somewhere. I know your visuals might speak volumes and people may fall in love with it, but I need to know like what am I working with? And you also have to think too, people are going to be in different stages when they meet you. So
Mhm.
they may be at that stage of I didn't even know I needed this, right? So
Right,
that's one you definitely have to be very basic. Or they could be like, I'm in the business or I'm in the search of X, right?
right.
So then they might know more and might be a little bit more fine tuned, but you need to be able to accommodate for those too. And then you have the ones who are like, oh no, I know what I want. Now I need to go find it. And I'm going to be a little bit more detailed. So you want to be able to kind of accommodate for all three of those different stages of when
Hmm.
someone may know about you or understand what you do as well.
No, that's great. Because even another level, when you say I'm a photographer, but what kind of photographer? Because I know some photographers
Yes.
that only shoot weddings, and they'll be damned if they would shoot a baby, like shoot a newborn photography.
Yeah.
And then you have those that are like, nope, I'm only want to deal with kids. I don't want to deal with brides. So, what type of photographer? So, if you know that it says that, but you have a group of people that you want to work with, then make it very clear. So I know if I'm searching for a branding photographer that you offer that, and it's something that you love to do, and it's another offer. So let people know for sure. For
Exactly.
sure. And as a boss, a wife, a mother, all the things, what's the best piece of advice that you have received?
Okay, so the best piece of advice I've ever received, I would say, is observe from others, take in from others, but just know that it's going to be different for you. Like it
Yeah.
might be different. So I feel like everybody, and I'm guilty of this too, because I'm textbook. Like I, went to grad school and did all the things too. So at one point, I thought I was going to be a professional student, which in essence, I kind of still am because I'm always learning. But I had this thought that, oh, there's a rule book for that. Like there's a guidebook, like all the how-tos. I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn that. I'm gonna figure it out and I'll master it. And then I'll get, with my A or whatever. So I realized in entrepreneurship and in business ownership, there's no real guidebook. Like I could learn and see and hear from all the people, but it's still not gonna be exactly the same when I do it. And it's
Right.
not gonna probably have the same result as they had. So almost to say, observe, take it in, but also take into account that you are on your own journey at the end of the
Yes.
day.
No, that's great advice. And it's interesting. I interviewed someone else for this season, and it was similar advice. And I'm not going to spill the beans just in case you haven't heard the episode, but it seems to be, it's just funny. The second time I've heard it this week alone about be a sponge, take in the information, but do what works for you, your business, your situation, because everybody's situation is different, but you can learn a lot from people. And if anything, you can learn the things you don't want to do by watching some other people's stuff, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
So,
here's the thing I've also learned too, perspective. Perspective is everything, where even though something may seem a certain way, even if they're educating something in a certain way, realize that there's probably a whole other side that you have no concept of that
right.
you probably will never see unless you actually experience it within yourself. So taking from, and I'm going to say, because something that recent happened with Chadwick Boseman's death, it was one of those scenarios where it's like, people were assuming him being thin because he was having some like he had some videos show up of him in like the last like couple months or so, and a lot of people were complaining and saying, oh my gosh, he's thin, like what's wrong with him, like they
Hmm.
were all speculating. Some people were thinking he was getting ready for another movie and that's why he lost the weight. Lo and behold, this man was like
Dying.
privately going through a terminal illness. Like who
Right.
knew? So who would have ever known that?
Right.
So I say all this because I'm like, you never know what somebody's going through. So again, when you take all this information from what they're telling you, realize that, it's still, there's still probably a whole other side that you will never know. So the best thing to do is to know that you have your own journey and just
Absolutely.
move forward from there.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Is that you just don't know what happens behind people's closed doors. And everybody has a story. Everybody is struggling with something. And I just know from looking at some of the blogs and how people just dogged him for his physical, not even knowing this man was literally dying. And so it
Yeah,
does take you back and say, let me not ever do that or assume again, because you just never know where someone is in their journey or their story. And that poor man read and saw that, and you're like, that's just messed up on so many levels. But it's a
yeah.
lesson. Definitely was a lesson. Like, we just have no idea that people
You have
suffer in
no idea.
silence in some
Yeah.
cases.
And like I said, and it goes both positive, like the positive and negative way. Because again, someone could be sharing their insight on something to tell someone how to do something, but again, just as much as it could be the negative side, like you don't know what's happening on the struggle side of things, you may not necessarily even be 100% clear on the other side either. So that being said, it's like take it, observe it, learn from it, but just know that you're on your own journey though. At the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've accomplished a lot, and in business, home, and all of that. What are you most proud of when you look at your empire and where you're headed? Hold on 1 second, Myrna. My
Mm-hmm.
phone is like doing something crazy. I'm gonna
Lighten up.
redo that question,
Okay.
like Amber Alert or something.
Oh.
Okay, let me do that, and I'll let the helicopter go by. Okay. All right. So, the what? Can I get the name out of my mouth?
We were worried about the last name. We got
It's not even like our names are like a letter off.
right.
Like
That's true. Our names are similar enough. But yeah, we should have this down. G.
I think from yesterday I was tongue tied, like trying to get all the video stuff out that I was like, I'm tired of talking. All right, here we go. Oh man. So Myrna, oh God, sorry. Lost my question. Trying to get the name. Okay, here we go. All right, there we go. Okay. I gotta make a note where I gotta edit my craziness. All right. So Myrna, what are you most proud of when you look at your empire and where you're headed and everything you have going on?
Gee, that's a tough question. What am I most proud of when it comes to the personal side, obviously my family. But
Mhm.
when it comes, my kids are my little rock stars. I can't, you know, it's sad, but I'm like, I try to be the closet cheerleader mom, but it's not really closet. So anyway, that's that. But on a professional level, I think what I'm most proud of is the ability to have educated so many people. Like when I look and, to this day, I get DMs and messages from people who have heard me speak or present from like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're still just like, you changed my world, or
Wow.
you gave me light to something. And so that I think is something that I love, and it's something that I'm so grateful for
Hmm.
because in my quest of wanting to educate and help people connect the dots and help, if I were to say like my mission honestly is to help people overcome the overwhelm of tech.
Mm.
So in doing that, I see that happening. It brings me so much joy. So I'm definitely most proud of that. And in terms of where I'm headed, I definitely see myself doing more of that. I definitely see me also leveraging, being able to help people in different ways. Like I said, like the whole digital side of courses and master classes and workshops. I see me definitely diving into more of that world, and going into businesses, and helping their marketing teams more so, which I'm excited about because that's already happening, but I see me doing more of that. And then also sidebar, I will say I've enjoyed speaking on behalf of the whole racism and Black Lives Matter
Right.
movement as well, which is something I didn't even think would be in my realm of speaking on, but I've been fortunate to be advocate for certain groups, and become more of like a spokesperson slash helper along the journey of
Yeah.
eradicating racism. So it's been pretty amazing there too. So I'm proud of that too.
Yes, you've been doing a phenomenal job, educating, representing, and letting people know the importance of inclusion and that we are here, we deserve to be seen, we have great things to offer. And so you've been on a speaking circuit and just helping people behind the scenes and in front, and that's something that is definitely needed. And as you know, on this show, we do not believe in the word balance. So my question for you is, what is your definition of living well-rounded?
Yes, I don't believe in balance either, because that's not achievable. I agree 100% with you, G, on that. I usually use the word harmony, because in harmony, there's different notes, there's different levels of how high or how low or how loud you sing at different times. So well-rounded to me is, looking at, again, it's a holistic approach of how everything just harmoniously works together. And it may not seem perfect, but the reality is the harmony in it is perfect, and you just have to walk with grace in that. So that's my definition of well-roundedness.
Oh, that's awesome. That's another awesome way to look at kicking balance to the curb and knowing that there are different ways that we go about it, but what works for us, as long as, like you said, harmony within your family, your work, and everything that we do there, because it all ties together at the end of the day. That's great. And so you kind of touched on this a little bit.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, before you say that, I was going to say, they can probably edit this, but I was going to say one thing that I do with my kids, which is funny, because my daughter has perfect pitch, right? So she'll like break out and say, oh, that's a B flat. Like she's that good. And she will have us as a family harmonize. Like we'll say a note or say a word, and then we'll like all harmonize, and she'll tell us like what part to do.
What?
And it's like the funnest thing. It's hilarious because she'll try to school me and my son on what note we're supposed to say, but all that it's perfect. Like it is well-rounded, and it's a beautiful experience that we do. It's just something we crack jokes on in the car. But
I didn't know you were a singer. I had no idea.
Look, I'm an aspiring singer in my shower, and
Well, I have to say, we have to have you sing the intro to the commercial for the new season of the podcast.
That is hilarious. I don't know if you want that, G.
I love it. So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are you most looking forward to in this next season of your life?
So I think I'm looking most forward to sitting in my power. My word for the year is power. And I feel like I have been so into the weeds of working that I never sat back. And that's what another gift I think I could say COVID did, was allowed for me to like take a break for a second and like rest and chill and reflect for a moment. But sitting in the space of power that I have, and showing up more in that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the next season is going to be a lot more of me pushing through the fears. Again, another gift of COVID is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I'm realizing more and more that that's the way of growth and evolvement. So my next season is going to be a lot more of that. And I think for as fearful as I am of it, I'm also ready, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I love that. I took some notes on that, because the fact of when you say sitting in your power, I'm like, man, that's good, because we forget that we all have special gifts and special things we can offer, and it's okay to show the world and shine and showcase that, because that's why we were giving such talents and the power in certain areas. So I definitely love that. And then the being comfortable with being uncomfortable, I'm like, that's a word, because we sure as heck don't know what's about to happen over the next few months.
2020.
Yeah, like the year that everybody was so hype about has been a joke, but a blessing.
Oh my goodness.
So it's.
I remember January.
Yeah, I do too. It feels like it was 2 days ago, but You know, it's funny. Something I thought about the other day is New Year's Eve this year is going to be something kind of different.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
So,
Christmas. I'm just thinking of all because now we're about to embark into like holiday season stuff. So yeah, everything's
right.
gonna be a little
Yeah.
different.
The companies are already saying no to the Black Friday Thanksgiving because they
Yep.
don't want that liability on them. Oh man,
Exactly.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I just love chatting with you, Myrna. Seriously, there's just something so comforting about your words of wisdom and the positivity that you always bring because you truly do bring a lot of positivity and joy. And so I want to do something fun in our last segment, girlfriend. We are going to do our rapid
Yes.
fire segment. So your job is to answer the questions
I
as
love it.
quickly as possible with the first thing that comes to mind. You think you can handle it?
I can handle this. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. This is one of my first questions that I ask a lot of the guests. You're stuck on an island. What are three things you're going to bring with you besides your kids and your husband and any person?
Okay. Besides them.
Yep,
All right.
can't take
So I'm definitely gonna bring my bathing suit.
it. Okay.
Uh, I'm definitely gonna bring my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
and I'm definitely gonna bring. I'm trying to think what the third thing would be because I'm like that's a tough one because I had a drink of like an umbrella for my drink, but I was like no because already be at the island, I'm sure. So I'm thinking more of something that I can't live without, and I almost want to say that it's my phone, which is sad, but I'm gonna say it because it's a lifeline.
Yeah,
So,
and that Wi-Fi and
so
phone go
Wi-Fi
hand
and
in
phone.
hand. So, Myrna, what's your favorite food?
Okay, so I love Thai food or anything with like a spice to it. So Thai food is definitely my go-to. I'll say even like anything basil chicken-esque. I will look for a Thai restaurant in a location. Like when I've traveled a lot, I've been like, tell me where the hottest Thai food restaurant is. We're gonna go there. So that's
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 awesome. And I'm the opposite. I don't do any spice. I can do some Thai food, but I don't do anything spicy. I don't think I've
uh,
even had like hot
I,
sauce.
really? Well, no, I can't do that. Like I like flavorful food. I don't know if I like spice like just to tack it on. So it needs to be more. I think
And
it's
mix
more of a
it.
flavorful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. When you were little and someone were to ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer?
So I had several. It's funny, the word boss was not a thing back then, but I always had this feeling that I was gonna be a business owner. Like my job titles were at one point I wanted to be a doctor, but my mom was like, no, that's not you. And then I was like, okay, but then I wanted to be an architect. That's actually what I went to school for. And I was like, I'm gonna own my own like architectural interior design firm. It was always ownership of some sort
Hmm.
that I put out there. So I want to say that if I could say if that was the word, it probably would have been a boss, but that's what it was. Because like I said, everything tied to I'm gonna own it though. Like
Right.
I'm gonna be the CEO though, or the leader of it.
That was
So
me. It's so funny. Same thing. Had different things I was going to do, but I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. So similar.
yeah,
If you could
yeah.
see anyone in concert, because I know you love your music and dancing and all that, who would it be?
Yes. So I would have to have like a melange of 90s R&B and hip hop people. Like I would
Oh,
love to
fun.
go to a tour situation where it would be like many people. It can't just be one person. Because
You
to
cheating
your
now.
point, I love music too much. But I'm saying there are concerts like that. So that would be my concert would be like a compilation of folk in the
I love it.
90s hip hop R&B genre. I'm not mad at 80s either, but 90s I
Yeah, no,
feel like
90s, something about 90s and 2000s. That's why I like the 47 channel on Sirius XM
yes, and
because
serious as it's all of it.
it
Yes,
has all the classics.
you don't have to
Mary's like,
change it. Yeah.
no, she's like, how do you know all these songs? I'm like, what? It's my life. All of this.
Oh, I educate. Look, we have
Yeah.
educated. We have had moments of we're gonna play this whole album for you, Jordan and Nathan. So you know when you hear Biggie Smalls or when you hear, you know who they are.
You
Like
know who it is.
I don't play.
Yeah, my daughter
Mhm.
didn't know who Brandy and Monica were when the versus battle. And
We watched that.
I'm like,
Hmm.
what? How do you not know who Brandy and Monica is? She's like, I've never heard of these two women. Who are they? I'm like, I have not done my job as a parent.
Yes, I did. We did the same. We let them stay up so they could watch it till the end. I was like, oh no, we're going to make sure you
It's
at least
history.
identify.
It's for the culture, Myrna.
Hmm. Exactly.
It was history
Exactly.
being made. If you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be?
Uh, I'm gonna go with, I guess, alive first because yeah, Oprah is my,
Yes,
like, I love her, for sure.
right.
Would want to meet her. And then see, both of mine right now are alive because I would love to meet either Michelle or Barack as well. But Oprah is my main, so I'm just gonna stick with Oprah.
Lady O. We're gonna stick with Lady O. I love it. So I want you
Mm.
to complete this sentence. When my kids are my age, I hope they say growing up that their mother was what?
Loving.
That's good. Solid. I love that.
Mm.
What is something on your bucket list?
To travel again. I wanna. I've always wanted to go to Egypt,
Mm,
um, just because I just love the some of the historical aspects of it. Plus, I just think it's an amazing venture. So I want to travel again. So I think Egypt would be my bucket list.
it's funny. We were supposed to be in Egypt this year for my husband's birthday. And it got canceled. Thank you, COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Last question for you. What is your guilty pleasure?
Okay, so my guilty pleasure is probably watching TV that I don't need to watch. So I
You gotta
I
verify because
love sad
that
stories.
could go a
I
whole
know
different way, Myrna.
it could, because yeah, that's true. Let me clarify. So reality TV shows, like 90 Day Fiance,
Yes, there we go. That's
Pillow
better.
Talk. Yeah, Pillow Talk. Like, it's funny how watching people watch shows is like now a thing,
Right.
but I actually am entertained and actually more entertained when I watch people watching the show because their
Me too.
commentary either is like in alignment with what I'm thinking or it's like, you gotta laugh at it.
I love it.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
You get sucked in watching people watch TV. Like you're like, why am I
Exactly.
watching this? But then you're like, oh, it's like you're watching it with them. So
Exactly. I'm like,
I
whoever thought
totally
of that, brilliant. But also, why? How did that come about? And then it's like, well, I guess it's brilliant because I'm sitting here watching it. So,
it's doing what it's supposed to do. Shout out to the producers, right?
exactly.
I just love it. Thank you, Myrna, for being our very special guest today. And friends, if you enjoyed today's chat just as much as I did, I want you to do us a favor and drop a 5-star rating and a quick review. The link to do so is in our show notes. You will also find Myrna's contact info there, so make sure you head over to the show notes or also the website, a wellroundedlifepodcast.com. Speaking of which, Myrna, how can our well-rounders stay connected with you?
So yeah, so the best way to keep in contact or stay connected with me is either through my website, which is myrnadaramy.com, or social media platforms. Majority of them are all Myrna P. Daramy. But you should probably find me easily if you just type in like Myrna P. It's been good. Like I've been fortunate to have, just like you, G, a name that not many people have.
Exactly.
So it's not as hard to find me.
You appreciate it as an adult, the name
Yes,
that no one else has, right?
exactly. Hmm. As a
So,
kid, it's a
yeah,
different story.
it's different. It's so different. So, friends, follow Myrna over on IG. Show her some love. Say hi. Let her know that you heard her here on the podcast. I will see you back here next week, same time, same place. Until then, promise me you'll stay safe. You'll grant yourself some grace, and you will try your very best to be intentional and to live well-rounded. All right. Bye, guys. Friends, thanks for kicking it with us this week. Remember to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode airs. I'd love it if you leave us a review and share this goodness with your squad. Until next time, seek a well-rounded life and remember to focus on what matters most.